Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
And Shelby.
with the Garden of Eder, and this week we're going to be talking about water changes, most importantly, the importance of water changes. So, for us personally, we have now 500 tanks. There's still 34 of them that are not set up yet. They're set up, they're just not filled yet, right? And then the rest of the house, though, we try to get to our water changes every 2 to 3 weeks. We do about 40 to 50% water changes. The process in which we do them, we showed on the live stream last week. I go through, I scrape the front, take care of any algae or any filter issues as I'm draining the tank, and then we slowly fill the tanks back up. We try to do about 50 tanks every day, about 5 days a week, and then we can take off the days that we need for shipping. And if need be, and we can't get to it 1 week because, like this week, we are getting ready for the South Carolina, the Aquatic Expo.
Yes.
There's so many shows. I always get the name wrong. But it's February 1st and 2nd. I'm speaking. We have a booth. Shelby is also working at the Pisces booth. Really looking forward to that show. And because of that, we won't be doing water changes this week. But when we get back, the shrimp tanks will be just fine. We're not going to have to overfeed or anything like that before we leave. For the most part, the shrimp will be just fine with no food for a week, no problem. However, we're able to do these long periods of time in between water changes because of the amount that we do and how frequently we do them. So the most important thing for us when doing the water changes is that the parameters all match up. So the TDS, the temperature, the GH, the KH will all match up with what's already in the tank. The pH might not be on point. And of course, this water will be cleaner, so it'll be free of ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite. And the best thing about it is you're also going to be replacing pheromones and hormones and all these other things that we can't really test for in our little test tubes or test strip test kits. So by the oh man, where was I going with that? Totally
Wasn't listening.
dang it. But all right, by maintaining the pristine water levels that we do, I'm comfortable with letting the tanks go for like 2 months. See, I picked it back up. We're good without doing any water changes. Yes, some of the weaker shrimp might get caught up while molting or something like that. However, there's definitely a bunch of babies that are going to be born for every shrimp that gets eaten. And it's definitely, a necessity to get back to the water changes after 2 months taking a break, but they certainly can withstand that long without doing it. But I wouldn't recommend it during just those 2 months where we slow down. And I can speak for experience on this simply because we had the baby, we had it multiple shows right after the baby. And right before Jimmy did the video, he's now posted both A and B, or part 1 and part 2 videos on the Fritz Aquatics channel. And you can see like the entire house was immaculate. And then if you watch Joey DIY, his video that was just posted like a week or 2 ago now, you can see like the glass hasn't been scraped. There's a little bit of algae here and there, but for the most part, the shrimp still breeding, still thriving. There's definitely less shrimp in the tanks because we've been selling a lot of shrimp since our Black Friday sale and everything like that through November. We've had record-breaking months for January as well as December, and we did better last year than we did the year prior in November. But still not as good as COVID year. That was insane. But so far for January and February, we are definitely doing better. Remember, COVID didn't start until March, so for the United States at least. But here's the baby. She was enjoying her bouncer. I saw. I'm trying to multitask a little bit more, I feel like I don't know half these people because I don't get to read the chat. So
Yeah, pretty much. Super Dave said, got my order from you and the other day. All great. Thank you very much. Glad to hear that, especially with all the shipping problems.
I've heard some
weather.
nightmares.
Yeah.
I've heard some nightmares. Somebody has $5,400 worth of packages that are just lost. We have one package. I think that's just they don't have tracking for it at all whatsoever. So, but usually they show up. It's only been a week.
They have somewhat tracking. It went to a certain facility and it's just been there for like days.
That happens.
So,
it gets stockpiled up at a certain hub, and
to me,
sadly,
it might be the weather.
Yeah.
Just like leaving some packages. Johnny Best, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Said, how long is the show? When will you be back home?
So the show is February 1st and 2nd, and we're going to enjoy dinner with our friends at the show, and then we will be driving home. So we'll be home pretty much like Monday morning, and ready to go. So.
Night Owl Clocks, can the aquatic isopods live with shrimp and rabbit snails?
Yeah, we have both aquatic isopods and rabbit snails, as well as red, yellow, blue velvets, all in the bottom row by the front desk.
Scotty says, baby has more hair than me. And then Dave says, there's that living doll. And Bugsy said, the new star of the show. And back to you.
So I just went through basically our water change schedule regimen. But like, why do we do that? We've been keeping shrimp professionally now for 10 years. And over those 10 years, we've tried different things. We've experienced different things. I've done the no water changes, no lights and stuff like that on the Neocaridina shrimp, and just saw quality of them go down, down, down. And then first water change, first turn of the lights on, first molt, and all of a sudden they look incredible again. So we've done increased water changes. I can't really do any more than what we're already doing. But if I had like the opportunity to set up on well water in a warehouse facility and a way to like recycle all the water a lot better, and be able to do everything on like a 10% every single day, I'd probably do that. I do believe the more water you can change the right way, the better it is for just about any livestock that you're keeping. So it's just trial and error over the years, and it's just what we think is giving us the best results. I've seen Plamsky's setup, and I've seen some of the other setups, and you can tell the people who are getting out, their water change schedule went down, the quality of their shrimp went down, where Plamsky, I kind of just took it right out of its prime. Maybe in prior years when he had more time for the room, there might have been some more babies or shrimp in the room, but I couldn't imagine there being more shrimp than what was in the room when we had to help him shut it down. So, and he was doing religiously large water changes frequently. He was also doing a lot of flow, a lot of filtration, swapping out a lot of different things. And there was a lot of benefits to that. And then taking away from it, just trying to set up a couple tanks. But honestly, the water changes and everything like that is pretty much the same between me and Plamsky. So in other setups that I've seen where they don't do the same amount of water changes, it just doesn't seem like they're able to produce the amount of shrimp. When we had the opportunity to sell the landscape business and do the shrimp full time, I had a choice. I could invest our money from selling the landscape into getting more tanks to breed out and do the homebred, or I could take that money, get an import license, and go through a broker and start importing. And it was lucky for us, we had an opportunity to work with another importer who had to shut down their store and redo all of their substrate and all of their tanks, and they're pretty much would be out of business for 3 months if they couldn't find somebody else to take over. And I had just happened to set up 20 tanks, had them all cycled. They were like 20-gallon tanks, so that we had plenty of room. And we were able to take all of his shrimp, but in the same process, we're getting fungal issues, bacterial issues, parasite issues. Even without all of those things, there's massive DOAs. And it was just a lot of headache, a lot of stress. And I think deep down, when you are an animal lover and you've got kids and other people around, the less death you're having to deal with, the better. And doing the imports, like, it's expected, like Sulawesi, for instance, to like lose 50% every day for like 7 days until they stable out, if they even stable out. So that's not really something to like look forward to. But setting up a ton of aquariums and being successful in 99 of them out of 100, like that to me is a lot more rewarding, a lot less stressful. And that was the route that we went. And definitely today, I feel like that was for sure the right move to make. There's been a lot worse things to do than sit around and home breed shrimp and see all of the tanks go through certain cycles and whatnot. But you never sorry, you never really know what's going to happen when breeding. You could lose everything, but the same thing can happen when you're doing importing, and I think the likeliness of that happening importing is a lot higher. So we try not to throw all of our eggs in one basket. We've got generator to run Jaden's room on the AC if we have to, in case power out or the AC would go out during the middle of the summer. We've got, not all of our Taiwan bees on one rack. We've got them kind of spread out to kind of keep things in case one rack goes down or filters go down or something like that. We've got prevention set in place. But I definitely feel the one thing that's kept us from importing the most is the water changes. Steady doing the 50% water changes and getting into my routine. When I sold the business, I started doing the water changes on a schedule, and maybe it was only 20 to 30% at first, every 2 weeks. But then I saw like significantly less algae on the moss and stuff like that. Bumped it up to the 50% water changes. Bless you. And then winter hit, and usually in the wintertime, we'll like to take a little break. And I was like telling myself, and I know this about myself, if I get off routine, it's really hard for me to get back onto routine. So I didn't want to get off routine, and I did my water changes through the winter. And that was like the first winter where there was steadily breeding throughout the entire thing. And so, increase your water changes. I'm dying. Hold on.
Thank you so much, Scotty. The Fish Freak for the $2 super chat says next talk freezing shrimp. TGOE shrimp can survive.
Oh man. You want to tell that story while I try to get this frog out of my throat?
So I don't know if we could do like an entire live stream about freezing temperatures and shipping shrimp and them surviving. But we've had a couple of cases, and Scotty just happened to have this happen because my mommy brain decided to ship out Scotty's package before I was supposed to. And of course, he's got freezing temperatures right now. And luckily, he was able to get the package, and they did look like they were still and not moving at all. And he was able to acclimate them and bring them back to life pretty much. And they're doing good. And it's crazy. We've had another instance too, and most people would assume they're dead. So I would suggest if you ever do get fish or livestock, mainly shrimp, if they are laying on their side and they still have color, you still have a chance to save them. Yeah. If they are pink, obviously it's past the point. But if they have color and they haven't had any pink spots,
and their eyes look good,
try your best.
It still looks like their eyes look like, usually the eyes start to turn color first.
And so try your best to acclimate them, get them going, get them in parameters. Now, don't fast acclimate them. Slowly drip them to the right temperatures and parameters, and they'll come back to life. Now, some of them might not survive after that, but it's better to try to save them than it is to just assume that they're dead. And we've had people where they've sent us bags and pictures of shrimp laying, and we're like, you can save these. Like, what are you doing? These are not dead. They're, and they had already sent it to us hours after the fact that they tried to save them, and they just dumped them in a bucket and forgot about them. So it's one of those things you have to try. Don't give up hope. That's for sure, especially if they're not pink.
Stardust are the ones that like to play possum.
Thank you so much. And that's the same thing with fish too. The funny thing is Lee's Killies fish does this, and the more popular one is the bluefin Killies fish. When you catch them and you put them in a container, they act dead. Like, they'll literally just like lay on their side, and you're like, what's wrong with you? And you'll poke them and they're fine. They do that all the time. It's so weird. But thank you, Scotty, for that. Myra's staring at Scotty or staring at Dad like, do you ever stop talking? She actually is so fascinated with him. Back to you.
So the 20 to 30% water changes turned into 50% water changes, and the schedule continued through the spring. And that was pretty much the full year that I had doing my water change schedule. And I had full confidence that I was never going to have to middleman shrimp, that I could always keep up with the demand in some way. Like red crystals and orange-eye blue tigers, I need to set up racks for just those with 36 aquariums. For tangerine tigers, not so much because they produce more. So 10 tanks of those is more than enough. But buying and reselling homebred, crystal shrimp and orange-eye blue tiger shrimp and the slower ones wouldn't be that's not that big of an issue. But being able to keep up and supplying and paying the bills by just breeding and keeping up with everything, I didn't think that was really possible or feasible without setting up way more aquariums or larger vats or something like that. And I thought I was going to have to mix it up a little bit of both until I started doing those large, massive water changes on a schedule. Now I'm feeling quite confident, like I said, except for crystal shrimp and orange-eyed blue tigers, mainly red crystals. And we did keep those available for the majority of the year last year. So maybe just setting up 2 or 3 more tanks, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but it seems like the demand for them keeps going up and up. The more subs, the more views, the more work we do on social media too, the more demand for the shrimp. So I hope one day we can meet that demand, but for everything else, we're able to pay our bills, and I 100% think that's just because of our water changes.
Mike said, if you could have any dinosaur, which one would it be? Thanks.
Oh man.
I'm gonna take the dinosaur that scares me and terrifies me the most, which is Velociraptor.
If I could have one, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say pterodactyl. What did I say? Velociraptor?
Velociraptor.
Those scare me, but the pterodactyl scare me more.
I was gonna go with pterodactyl just because, if I could tame it from day one.
That'd be so awesome.
The travel.
That would be so easy.
Right.
They terrify me, though.
But
they honestly do. Thank you, Jurassic Park 3, for terrifying me for the rest of my life on pterodactyls.
If the travel is out of the equation, I can't remember the name, but the aquatic one with the paddles.
It's something really.
I don't know if anybody out there watched the TV show Surface, but I got hooked on that show, and then they just canceled it before it even got halfway like through the story plot line, but I enjoyed it.
Craig's Catfish Cave, thank you so much for gifting one Garden of Eater membership. If you did get gifted a Garden of Eater membership, remember you do get a 10% off discount. That you have to be actually active in that membership, so that only lasts for the month. Remember that. And you get a cool TGOE holographic sticker. So reach out to us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com and we will hook you up. Thank you so much, Craig. And I saw he said he wasn't going to show Belinda the baby because she won another one. That makes sense. I will always be the same. I will be 70 years old and I'll be like, I can't have another one. That's pretty much what's going to happen. And then Bugsy said, I honestly struggle dealing with this with the shrimp and fish. Makes it tough to keep sometimes. That's it happens with everybody, even experienced ones. It does suck. But that's a way to improve. Unfortunately, it's a slow but in a little painful way of improving. Johnny Best, thank you so much for gifting one Garden of Eater membership. And like I said, we 2 seconds ago, that to make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com.
Appreciate it, Johnny. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. And then we've got 10 more gifted memberships from the king of DIY, Joey himself.
Thank you so much, Joey.
Appreciate it. Really enjoyed the videos. They came out looking really good. Really enjoyed all the feedback and the tips and everything you gave us as well, man. Appreciate that. So
yeah, really enjoyed your time here. Appreciate the videos are really cool, and meeting your lovely wife. That was really cool, and enjoyed that whole weekend. Really appreciate you helping out. 10% for 10 people. Thank you.
That's 10% more Kohl's, Joey. Remember that.
And Scotty said, yeah, they sat on my porch for 12 hours in below freezing temps and 2 days in Philly somewhere in below freezing temps. Those shrimp are a beast. Yeah, they were lost for a couple of days. That's why I didn't know if they were on your porch or not yet, but it's crazy.
And if you could see like how devastated Shelby was, and then what the next morning was when we found out they were all awake. So like she went to bed very upset and then woke up and it like just started off her day knowing that all of Scotty's shrimp were fine, because that wasn't just no normal order. We've had some hiccups and some scares with the shipping this winter. So
yeah, it's not been fun. Obviously, with the storms and everything else, it's kind of unpredictable because yes, our shrimp can survive cold weather, but they can't sit on a porch in that cold weather for hours. So we're expecting the shipping to be good and it not to be lost or sitting somewhere or sitting in someone's truck by chance, and that's out in the weather. You can't predict for some of these things that happened or delayed a couple days when it's usually not. So, I mean, Florida's been like the worst one. I don't know if it's going through a certain hub and that hub is just struggling for people, but like where it usually takes 1 day in Florida or 2 days max was taking an entire week. That makes no sense when I could have drove to their house and delivered that by hand and spent a couple days there. That's how bad it is.
It would have been like an hour detour on our way to Georgia.
Yeah. Johnny said, Grant, is there any specific water testing to give you a clue when to change water?
I just think the best thing to do is get onto a schedule and change it as frequently to that schedule as you possibly can. I truly believe 10% a week is like bare minimum of what you should do. But like for us, we have too many tanks to get to everything. It takes time to scrape and clean the equipment and stuff like that in between water changes. So for me, doing the larger water changes every 2 to 3 weeks works out. But I'm still doing more than 10% a week. By doing 50% on every 3 weeks or 40% every 2 weeks, I'm almost doubling that, right? So it's definitely something you want to get onto a schedule. I get a call from Mo Devlin on a Saturday randomly all the time. Hey, Grant, it's Mo. Water change Saturday. Figure I'd give you a call. Just flooded. 40 years, I'm still flooded. Like Mo's such a great guy. And everybody's just got their day. Get the schedule and take care of it and just make it a thing. That's all I got to say. I don't think there's a proper way to test, and I'll get into this for hormones and pheromones and stuff like that. So,
Coro said the tank tie shrimp you sent me did better in a bucket for a week than in the tank I prepared for them. Clearly, that's not your fault in any way, shape, or form. Y'all the best shrimp keepers. It's cold outside. How are there mosquitoes? Um, that's crazy. So I would say that all experienced shrimp keepers still have sometimes where they don't have certain shrimp survive for them, and it could just be they don't like the water. I've had where I had a tank that was cycling for over 30 days. All the water parameters tested fine, and then they still didn't do well. So sometimes they just don't adjust to some water parameters well.
but hear me out. The bucket probably didn't have proper water changes, or not water changes, water parameters. So I do believe that the more the shrimp change drastically in water parameters in a short amount of time, the worse it is on them, their immune system, and everything like that. So if they come from my house, which I'd like to say they have ideal water parameters, definitely growing up and breeding in them several generations in, they're going to do better in my water parameters than they would, say, another perfectly set up tank the way I tell them to do it exactly. pH isn't going to line up because my tank's been running for X amount of time and your tank hasn't, right? So we're not going to be able to match up everything dialed in. But changing them once isn't going to be that much stress, but it is still stressful because the water parameters are also changing inside that bag on the way to your house. And then they changed in the bucket, and then they changed going into another tank. So ideally, you want to make sure before you buy your shrimp or get your shrimp that the tank is set up and done and properly cycled. It's not so much that the shrimp are sensitive, it's just a lot of people go through stress and anxiety. That's why so many people get sick when they travel. It's because your immune system's compromised.
So Sigarina said the blue coals and isopods made it after the chaotic shipping and MLK Day, which we forgot about this year. We just weren't paying attention to the calendar. But the Opa Ula didn't make it. I wanted to bring up this comment because we will be taking Opa Ulas off in the wintertime from now on because that is the second. We don't ship them very often, and usually they make it because most of the time we've had, closer states to us.
I've got this one customer, like she's not buying them anymore because all of the people she knows probably already has them. But for like 3, 4 to 5 years, probably, she would buy like 40 to 100 Opa Ula 2 or 3 times during the winter. And she would make the little spheres. And maybe she's just breeding them herself now.
Yeah.
She stopped putting them in the spheres. But we never had any issues shipping. But all of the Opa Ula packages that we send out are just delayed 2 or 3 days extra longer than anything else. It's just unlucky is more than anything. But they are Hawaiian. They are kind of tropical. Anything from Hawaii, you get it under 60 degrees, it just wants to go back inside. I can test for that.
Plesiosaurus. I think that's what it is. I'm pretty sure it's Scotty's, your aquarium. They have it up on one of the walls, don't they? Is that the one we went to? That scared me. I don't know how my
You guys
own
heard
dog,
that? It was our dog's tail.
Yeah.
It just got up. That's all. It's normal. It just hit
Mike,
2 tanks instead of 1 tank like normal.
Mike said, have you ever observed the shrimp outside in the rain? Do they do anything that you've noticed when it's raining? I would love to get a GoPro this year, and when it's raining, put a GoPro in one of the ponds. Most of the ponds are covered.
They're covered more than 90%, even the ones that aren't covered.
That's true. So I don't know if there's been a difference, but like there's pressure drop. There's other things that could be happening at the same. That's why like other shrimp get active when it's raining. But No, I don't think we've ever noticed a difference, but it would be nice to know. I've been out there in the pouring rain catching them and was still able to, so they don't
But
hide.
we're just swooping. We're not really looking
Yeah.
at what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
We see them and we snack them. That came out real redneck.
Yeah, this is a good tip. Whenever I get anything, I test the pH and all the parameters in the water that I get them from the seller and see how close it matches to the tanks.
But the pH, though, in the water in the bag is not going to be the same that it is in my water in my tank. The pH is going to climb just slightly in the bag. You ran out of rooms.
Yeah, I see that. And the reason my shrimp didn't do so well in my tank is because it wasn't established enough. It didn't have enough biofilm for them. And even if I'm feeding them, they're just not grazing on it all the time. So they just have more success when you have, like, it didn't have wood. It didn't have, like, enough plants in the tank. It was like a string of moss. It's not enough for them.
You have a pacifier? She's trying to gnaw on me, and I'm not letting it happen. So,
Daddy not letting you chew on him?
No.
How dare you, Daddy?
I'm already soaked in drool as it is. So,
Andy Tran said, hey, I asked a while back about getting some fish fry in your moss. Do you guys think you have red, neon, blue rainbows by chance? I got 3 of them.
Yeah, we had the red pseudomagills, the Illuminatus? No.
You know what? That was probably because of me. I did pull moss out of that tank that had those rainbow fish in them.
So congratulations if that's something you were happy about getting. But if you're not happy, that's on Shelby. If you were happy, it's on me. Those were my fish.
Send them back. I'll pay for them.
No, we've got somebody in the club that breeds them all the time, and they're quite cheap.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, I didn't know Shelby caught him out of that tank. That's why I was like,
yeah.
If I thought I messaged you back saying I'm not sure, they might have been a hitchhiker from something else, but
yeah.
I
don't remember getting the moss from that, but because they have it, I swear now the moss it's only had to have come from that tank.
Was it Sawasatang by any chance? Made their heart sing, and then they had babies.
Johnny said, what kind of caradinas would you do well in the neocaridina parameters?
The tiger shrimp. You want to stay away from fancy tigers, but for the most part, all of the other tiger shrimp will do well. We've got orange eye blue tigers are a little bit more sensitive, so maybe stay away from those. But the tangerines, the super tigers, the raccoons, the stardust, those are all good ones.
Molderg, I don't know if I said that right. Do you drip acclimate all of your shrimp tanks when you change some water?
So if you watch our water change live last week, it's not so much as a drip. It's just I do it as fast as I can without disrupting the substrate. So if you're flowing it and the water level's real low, of course you got to go slower. And then as it's filling up, you can gently increase it up. But you don't want to go too fast, though, because the pHs aren't going to be the same. So by just going like a steady flow that doesn't mess up the substrate and leaving it at that gives the time for it to really mix up. The pH will not neutralize, but be lowered by the substrate, and it'll work out for you.
Yeah, it had Subwassertang and it was sold as mixed moss. That makes a lot of sense.
That's on Shelby. If you're mad about it, but
no, she said, yeah, I'm stoked. They are awesome. I don't know if that's
all right,
they. Sorry.
I guess that's a happy mishap then. So I don't know what's going on. My throat is drying up.
Pseudomagills are always a happy surprise, unless they eat all your shrimp, and that's not so much fun.
I'll tell Gary I've been sending people free pseudomagills all across the country, trying to get the hobby going for them.
I love them so much.
So you want me to do the next
They
one?
are the prettiest of like the pseudomygills too. Yeah.
All right. So if you don't want to take my recommendation and my experience, look at what the fish laboratories do, what the aqua farms do, the aquaculture labs and stuff like that. They're all doing massive water changes. The coral farmers and stuff like that that have access to direct salt water, it's pumping in and pumping out. They're constantly changing out as much water as they possibly can to keep their systems as clean and pristine as they possibly can. So, Greg Sage just did his talk, and he likes to run all of his aquariums like that, where he does automated water changes. And I can't remember if it's 10% every day or 10 times over every day, which would be 1,000%. There's too many people with fish rooms like this that I'm just in awe. Richard Reynolds has an automated water change. I can't remember exactly how many gallons of water he does or what his schedule is, but all of his livestock is phenomenal. Then we also have a cichlid breeder in the club. His name is Shane. His garage is chock block full of tanks. Our garage is full of tanks, but his garage is legit. All of his fish room is in there, and there's enough room to go in between the aisles and like turn your shoulders. And if you're too big of a guy, you're not really going to be able to get around his room really without like squeezing through cave crevices. It's going to be that bad. And he has all of his water onto an automated water system where he does like 5 times water changes every single day or something like that. So all of his fish grow up really fast and are all looking healthy and incredible. So once I saw a few of the breeders who were doing massive water changes in their setups and the shrimp that were coming out of them in the competitions, that's when I decided to step my game up. I don't know what's going on. I have to get more water.
Struggling. And I would say, yeah, there's a lot of tanks that could do okay without water changes. It just does better with them. I have a tank that does fine. It's a little nano tank. You're messing everything up.
Sorry.
It's a little nano tank, and it's heavily planted, which is a good key if you are going to do no filter or less water changes. So it helps with that ammonia buildup, is just having a bunch of plants. So I have a wild shrimp tank, which wilds do really good on their own, and they breed really well. But in the same size tank and more water changes in it, we produce like 4 or 5 times more shrimp in that one tank with water changes than we do the one that we don't do as much water changes, and it has a bunch of mulm on the bottom. And it's really cute, and I didn't even have a filter on it for a while. I mean, there's no reason it didn't need it. But just because something doesn't need it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And I think that's like the bigger consensus. Overall look to it is, yes, you can do it. If you don't have enough for electricity, that's fine. Then you could still do a tank. You could still have it. You can still do the things you want to do. It's just, if you want to be more successful, there's ways to be more successful, have more shrimp. And that's just overall a lot of people, especially bigger fish farms, that still do water changes, you know? So it doesn't mean you don't, it doesn't mean you have to.
Doing your water changes the wrong way is very risky. But doing your water changes the right way is going to give you the least amount of risk with taking care of your aquariums. I don't know if that made sense, but overall, if you do everything the right way and you're doing your water changes, you're going to have less issues, and the risk of having issues is going to be a lot less.
I think you're on your own for a little bit. You could answer this question.
Is there a way to watch your previous live stream? Yeah, so if you go to our actual the Garden of Eater YouTube page. There will be a tab for videos, a tab for shorts, and a tab for live streams. Maybe there's an overall tab also for all the videos in the order that they get posted. And we don't really post that much, so it should be within 4 videos down the list if that's the way it's set up. But it should be easy to find underneath our live streams. It is like 2 hours of me changing water, but you pretty much learn everything in the first hour, as well as some banter. And I highly do recommend, if you're watching the live streams, you can hit that ×2 button and watch it in double speed. I sound like a chipmunk, but I'm still understandable, and you're able to learn everything in half the time. Cinema gills are my favorite fish. I have the Illuminatus, the Gertrude. I'm not going to name all of these. I'm going to butcher the rest of them. There's a bunch of different ones. The Illuminatus were the ones that I wanted to get for my planted aquascape tank, but I never really got time to scape it. It's honestly just a little wannabe Dutch farm tank. I do have some pygmy cories in there, but what is most impressive in that tank right now is a booming isopod colony in Caridina water parameters. So not an ADA accessible fish room. I don't know where that's coming from. I didn't mean to click on it, but I clicked on it, so I had to read it, right? Yeah, 5 times a day is great for growth. There's also Patrick with the cichlid barn, and I think all of his water gets filtered out 5 times a day. His setup's really cool. It's on a pump. He's building a new barn. I want to get out there and see how he makes that happen, because that would be really neat to kind of learn from him and be able to make it work. Holy cow. I minimized the screen and it went super small. I was just trying to get it out of the way for just a second. Now I lost my place. I have it up. Should be able to find it easily. All right, here we go. Normalized water changes on YouTube. Yeah, there's a couple channels out there that don't really do water changes, and I'm gonna just speak because Lucas is the one right here. Lucas, he goes through a lot of fish. He sells a lot of stuff, so his water does get replaced. He does have the automated water change system in TAC. So even the people that kind of do that whole method where they don't do the water changes, they know the importance of it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing his room when he gets the whole thing cranking. What if we market water changes as a counterculture movement? I don't know if I'm the one to do that. I tried the no water changes and the tank slowly went downhill. Yeah. And for the most part, that's what happens. I tried no water changes, and it leads me to not paying any attention to those tanks, and the plants not being maintained, and the glass not scrubbed. Personally, top offs alone don't get me in the mood. So a big part of like why I haven't wanted to do automated water changes in the house is because I like working in the tanks, because that's when I do all the work in the tanks. If I just walked by the rack and was like, oh yeah, it's Tuesday, 2:00, I need to do the 10% water change on the rack, flip the switch, and came back in 30 minutes and flipped another switch, I wouldn't probably do all the scraping of the tanks and anything like that, or algae and whatnot. And then if I'm not doing that, then I can't see all the ugly shrimp to cull them, and it's going to be overall bad for the fish room. However, if I were to double everything, then yeah, I'm scraping and flipping the switch and trying to take care of everything on one rack and moving on to the next rack, and that'll happen. But until I get a warehouse, nothing will be automated, because I need to be in the tanks and, of course, in the mood to do everything. That's the most important part. But I like to think of it as doing the water changes improves the quality of life. If you were in, it doesn't matter what size building, all right? Throw yourself in a Walmart. And if you never changed the septic, eventually that bathroom is going to smell. You might not be able to smell it, but if somebody else were to walk into that Walmart after a year or 2 years or 3 years of you not changing the septic and that just piling all up and the bathroom filling up, and it's not going to be good for their health. They're going to have lung issues, they're going to have breathing issues and stuff like that. That's the same thing. They're going to have heart issues or something, I don't know, other than lung, right? And it's not going to be good. It's not healthy for them, and it's not really that healthy for the animals either. So you look out in nature, pretty much everything that's booming with life is near flowing water. The stagnant ponds and stuff like that out here in Florida that don't really get flushed out regularly, they got nothing alive in them but bugs, and not really that much. Or like gambusia. Gambusias, they're savages. They get around. They can thrive in just about any stagnant pools of water, but there's not much that lives like a gambusia in not changing the water out in nature. Do we have colorful isopods? No. We just have the Azulis. I can't remember the name of them now. But they're the ones that are fully aquatic and fully freshwater, and the only ones that I can actually get my hands on. I've seen other ones, and they kind of just look like water louse or water loose. I don't know how to say it. So I'm not. I don't even know what keeps happening with the chat. This is annoying. I'm not even sure if those are defined as aquatic isopods or not. You look it up, and a water louse is an aquatic isopod, but the local ones that you can catch, like I know in Pennsylvania, they have like these real narrow faces, but they're not colorful. They're like the same colors. I do have like somebody in the beginning that was working on like separating out some of the white striping to the isopods that we do have, but almost none of the adults have the white striping. So I think it's something that the juveniles or the young ones display that you don't really see on any of the adults. All the big adults that we have are pretty much just gray. Your buddy George, where you gotta walk sideways, no wheelchair access. Oh. Gotcha. Can you ever, are you ever coming down under, Grant? There's a heap of amazing fish homes in Oz. So absolutely, I want to make a trip over to Australia. Shelby's working with Pisces, so maybe they'll have a reason to bring her over to their main headquarters. I don't know what that would be called, but there's also like opportunities for us to go hang out with Nick. And I've got, of course, you guys. And oh man, there's somebody else I was talking to about scuba diving in Australia that does it all the time. And I don't think they're in the aquarium hobby. They might be. But I definitely want to dive the Great Barrier Reef, go collecting. There's a lot of things on my bucket list to do in Australia. Maybe it's Gary's friend. And then we've got 5 gifted memberships from Stephen P. And I'm sure Jenna had something involved in that. So thank you guys. Really appreciate that. If anybody got one of those gifted memberships, you get a sticker, holographic, to the garden from the Garden of Eden for our members only. And then you also get a 10% off discount code to our website, tgoeshrimp.com. I also want to point out this will be your final opportunity. Maybe tomorrow will be the final opportunity. I'm not quite sure, but I said on the 25th that I was going to change all the prices. They definitely need to be changed ASAP. We've been taking shrimp off the website, but We are running low on just about everything. Not Neocaridina wise, but Caridina wise, the house is getting cleaned out. Of course, we did run out of red cherries. Shelby might be like, we're running out of this. I think black rose calls are going to be off the website here soon. But take advantage of those winter sales while they are still on the website, because maybe tomorrow night taking them all down, but definitely will be ending here soon. So take advantage. Sorry, I'm stalling, trying to figure out what to do next. And I don't know when Steven said anything that was hilarious. Maybe it was with the gifted memberships, and I can't see that. But Shelby said that's hilarious. I'm imagining stormtroopers making people do water changes for some reason. And I wish StreamYard better showed those. How often should I change my toilet water? You should probably be flushing that when it's brown, flush it down. Yellow, let it mellow. Save that water. Conserve, right? Think about California. It's burning. We need to be sending them water. Oh, see? I'm not the only one. Yeah, see? It's just that time. We all got to work together to save California. When enough members of the rebellious husbandry force combine their gravel vacs together, they create the ultimate mega python with the gravel claw attack. All right, you guys are getting out of control. I bet y'all could smuggle so many animals back from Australia. No, that is not something that I will ever do. Just wear some of Shelby's maternity pants and just hide in a baby kangaroo. There you go, Grant. Oh, man. Maybe it's worth it for a koala. I don't know about kangaroo. Kick crap out of me in the wrong spot, and it's game over for me. Game over. That's not a snake opposite. It's my scoff. All right. Hanging out with Craig is definitely on my bucket list. Fishy Biz said, thank you for the membership. But does Australia have anything that Florida doesn't already have? I'm not the person to answer that. I'd imagine there's a lot of fish that we don't have, Stephen. But reptile-wise, probably not. Probably not much. We have koalas at the zoo, All right, for legal reasons, I cannot express any interest in smuggling animals back from Australia while on a live stream. No, I will stick to my permits, and I will do it the right way, or I will not be coming home with anything that will get me in trouble. Unless it's in trouble with Shelby, then that's a different story, right? But in trouble with the law, no, that's not something I'm going to go for. So back to the list. Overall, I see great improvements with size of overall shrimp, and then the growth rate to full grown is a lot faster with the more water changes that we do. Also, shell quality is improved, and because shell quality is improved with less issues in molting, your baby survival rate's going to go up and everything like that. But on top of that, actual quality of color can go up too with doing more frequent water changes. So you definitely want to think about that. Do you have any 33-gallon longs? No, we do not. I've seen a couple setups with them, but we don't currently have any. We have some 20-gallon longs, but that's it. But Grant has no problems getting in trouble with Shelby. Yeah, Shelby's a lot more forgiving than prison. I had a koala at my feet a few months ago. I so wanted to pick it up, but the claws said, nope, don't do it, Craig. I can't remember if it's koalas or sloths, or maybe it's both of them. But if they scratch you, there's some bacteria that could get into your system, and you'd lose a limb possibly. The chances of it are quite high. I don't remember. That's stuff I look up when I'm traveling to that place, so I don't lose a limb, right? That way you can just dream about it. Live in the fantasy world until then. EJ, they stopped making them. Hard to find. I am looking as well. I don't know what that was for. Oh, the 33-gallon longs. Jesus. My memory is shot. How's it going, Brandon? Shelby's a lot more forgiving than prison, for sure. Her food's way better, even when she's mad at me. So, koalas have STDs. I'll take your word for it, Steven. And then Shelby's agreeing. She's more forgiving than. Man, I swear there's something wrong with sloths too, because I have a vivid memory of like a guy grabbing a sloth with a shovel and like panicking when it like got close to him, and then the guy giving a reason why in the comment section. I don't know. My memory is off sometimes. So overall health will be improved by doing more water changes. You'll also have less issues with bacterial infections. Of course, if you're not doing water changes for a very long time and then you decide to do water change and then you mess up that substrate for the first time in 6 months, you're definitely going to get a bacterial infection. But if it's kind of something that happens every single time you do your water change, every single week, you're not really going to get that bacterial infection. The substrate's always going to be kicked up right there. I don't suggest blasting it or anything like that, but I'm not perfect. Every time I move the tank over, sometimes if the water level's too low, not every time, but sometimes, I definitely, hit that substrate up a little bit, but I avoid it as much as possible. And then, of course, less issues with fungal issues. You don't have any less issues with parasites because parasites are also going to thrive in any condition of high water changes or low water changes. They're going to do better than what they're preying on. So, purple neocaridina, that's been like a dream of everyone's for at least 10 years since I've been in the hobby, and so far there isn't any. I had to rewind and listen for context. Yeah, that's okay. Shelby is far better than Precision. And more forgiving for sure. Do the monkeys in Silver Springs? Yeah, the monkeys in Silver Springs are known to have the herpes. Good night. Long day here in Peru. Oh, well, you're in Peru. You have a good one. One day, I hope to make it out there. Sloths have their own species of bugs that live on them that eat the moss on their hair. That's pretty cool. No, that was just a savage sloth. I've watched that video 100 times. Sloth's got that G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip. Yeah, Google says sloths are full of diseases and parasites, but I mean, who isn't really? How do you quarantine the isopods? What you look for? I don't quarantine our animals whatsoever if they're homebred. If I get anything new, it goes into its own tank until it starts breeding anyways. And if I go collecting and I catch some isopods, they're going in their own tank also. So that's kind of my quarantine. What would I be looking for though? Parasite wise, Scutalilia, Japonica. I can't remember how to say it. But little crusties growing on its forehead, pretty much. Also, there's these like tick parasites underwater that can like burrow into shrimp. I don't know if they're small enough to get their way onto isopods or not, but I'd be looking for him for sure. Um, So the obvious brainer is, when you're doing your water changes, you're replacing the dirty water that has the ammonia, the nitrite, and you're replacing it with clean water that doesn't have any of that, right? That's the obvious. The not so obvious are the things that we don't test for. We don't know all the minerals on the mineral table. That we don't test for all of the minerals that are there either, though, in our aquariums. We don't even consider test kits for pheromones and hormones and stuff like that. So by doing your water changes and having the clean water, replacing the water that's in the tanks, you're replacing all these things. If there's a ton of females in the tank and they all get buried up, or a couple of them get buried up, and all the males are frantically searching for them, and those are the females that are ready to go. They get buried, they go off to the side, but their pheromones are still in the water. Then those shrimp, or the males, are still going to go around chasing all the other females that aren't ready, and it's going to stress them out. It could lead to deaths and stuff like that. And then vice versa, there could be too many hormones in the water, and they couldn't breed or wouldn't want to breed because of it. So it's definitely important to me, besides all of the other unknowns, is to replace the water, maintain proper levels that you can't even see or test for itself. And you've also got your cycle in the bacteria and stuff like that for your filters. Maintaining clean filters and everything like that with your water changes is also essential. You don't want that bacteria and everything, all the gunk, to just build up on top of each other and never clean it. You want to do that on a schedule as well. I recommend, like, for canister filters and hang on the back filters, different models all really perform differently, and some of them have different stages. For our hang on the back filter on the grow out tanks, they've got the little pre-filter sponges. Every water change, I change that pre-filter sponge. The ones that don't have that, once a month I'm having to wash out the media gravel, not media gravel, the media in the hang on the back filter, just to get all that gunk loose, make sure the flow in that is all good and going. But with the one with the pre-filter, I don't have to do that, but once every 6 months or so. So you definitely want to make sure with different filters you're maintaining them properly so that the flow maintains. Another good thing about rinsing out the filters, the sponges, the actual media itself, is a lot of times the bacteria in these low flow environments and stuff like that, one of the bacteria, if it doesn't have enough flow pushing it through, it actually is peeing and pooping itself. It's eating, it's also excreting. And so what happens is, if there's not enough flow to kind of wash away its own waste, it'll actually turn acidic and die in its own filth. And then you can have a bacteria filter crash. So the whole thing, like, you never want to clean your filters and stuff like that. You just want to make sure that there's proper flow being maintained through your filters, so that way the bacteria itself is healthy and thriving 100%. All right. You're back? All right, good timing. Struggling to keep up with chat.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh.
Bye.
Hey, Wolfette.
You were doing great.
Do you see yourself?
Twins. Oh my god.
Go dodge it. Dodge it. Dodge yourself.
Craig said, do you think that if the purple line was made, it would be hard to keep the purple strong? Yes.
Yeah, it'd probably be like a washed out Bloody Mary, I would think, would be a lot of the culls.
I would say there's a lot of different shrimp that are harder to keep. Like black rose could be struggling, and you have to use multiple shrimp sometimes get to that black rose and that deeper color. And I would say that mixing the shrimp to get that purple, it's going to be the same effect where you're going to have a lot more culls. Even when you solidify them and make them better, it just takes so long for it to get up to that standard. Like my black rose are way up there now, and it's very rare that I get culls out of them, but sometimes you could have just 2 bad ones that will make a bunch of babies. So
Hence
it'll
why
be
the
the
black
same with
rose
purple.
culls are coming off the website.
Yeah. So Crypt Keeper. And nice bird. Welcome in, says member for 32 months. Thank you so much. Says, hi Grant, where's Shelby? And I
She's
already
here.
answered him in the comments that I was feeding the baby. She's all happy now. And I answered Craig on the Sarah test kit. Yes, I do use it. I don't use it as much as the API because the API is just more readily available and consistent, and I'm used to using it. But the Sarah test kit is like one of my favorite. Oh, I have to sneeze and I can't sneeze. Fishy Business says, any special care or things to be aware of with the isopods first time hearing of them?
I take care of them just like the Neocaridina shrimp. Of course, they're smaller than shrimp, so the filtration should definitely be a filter, a sponge filter. I'm sorry. We do have a sponge filter guard on our hang on the back filter that's keeping the colony still thriving, but I imagine it's still sucking up some of the isopods and isn't 100% isopod proof. So if you're looking to really breed out your isopods, I would do a sponge filter in a Neocaridina shrimp tank setup. I think Crypt Keeper's got them going in a Caridina tank. We've got them going in the planted tank, but I've tried them in 2 other shrimp tanks. And honestly, maybe the shrimp just outcompeted them, and they were actually like really booming, thriving shrimp colonies. So,
And then Coro said, Grant, when are you going to spring for the Hannah checkers after the big gift for Shelby? Question mark. If you mean the big gift for Shelby is my ring, I already have it. We have to get it fixed, and I just haven't taken the time to go get it fixed. I've had it for like 14 years now. I wore it forever, and then I almost broke it several times. For some reason, it's like a little hooked, so I hit it on the washing machine a few times, and then we went and got it fixed, and they stretched out the band, and then I lost weight, and now it's too big. So, but probably never get the Hannah checkers, honestly, because of the fact that you have to buy calibration fluid and how expensive they are in general, that I would just always stick with the liquid test kits. Now, Grant can go on his own and get Hannah checkers, but I'm probably still going to use the liquid test kits. I don't know why. It's just like old habits die hard, maybe?
I think I'd rather spend $1,600 and get.
Is that how much they are?
No.
Oh.
I'd rather spend $1,600 and get the spin from the API.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I
don't know. We used one and ran through the house, and it was pretty accurate to the API test drop kits. So a little off on the ammonia test, but we don't really have ammonia issues in the house. So
Mike Reardon said, would carbon take out the pheromones?
I don't know.
I had to look this up because I saw it before I got here. So unfair advantage here. I did Google it. It does take out pheromones. No, we've had like aquachar in the tanks, and shrimp still breed. So I don't know how much of it removes, and whether it really makes a huge difference. I guess it depends on the amount of carbon and how much you're using it. Alex is always talking about how isopods being super cleaners. What is your take on them cleaning abilities in the aquarium?
I think the isopod tanks that we have are always immaculately spotless. There's not really a lot of mold in them either. So we haven't like really had them in too many aquariums, but all the ones that they're in, they look great.
I would 100% say for a shrimp tank that they are worth it if you overfeed at all. The tanks that have the isopods in them are doing much better than the tanks without the isopods in them, and that's when I overfeed the Neos. They have come in handy really well cleaning up. So they go in, they dig in. There's probably like hundreds in the substrate that we don't see, and there's like hundreds on top of the substrate. So if you don't like that kind of crawly look, that's up to you, but I enjoy them as a cleaner. much more efficient than most things that people think clean up the tanks.
She's like, Dad, did you really go 5 high? Is there really 5 rows of tanks up here?
Oh. Okay, Razorback said, are the ocean blue neos just a higher grade of the blue diamonds?
Yeah, and especially now Shelby has caught her first cull of the blue diamond or the ocean blues outside, and it is like a broken carbon relief. It is, a true sign of what blue diamonds will throw from the black rose line. So there hasn't been any red to them at all, just black. And if you watch our blue dream versus blue diamond video, it's a for sure case of it being a blue diamond.
Crypt Keeper does not have any aquatic isopods anymore. Did you put a fish in with them? What happened? Did it get too cold? It might get too cold for them.
Or
I
did
don't
you
know
only
about the
have
cold
them-
yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you get cold up there. So.
I'm going to try them outside next year in the spring, definitely in our tubs where there's no substrate because they'll be easier to see. And we'll see how they do next winter. I don't think the cold is going to be an issue, though. We haven't had any.
I don't know because I don't know where
any
they
DOAs.
originate from. I don't think anyone does. So back to you. Back to you.
All right. So, on top of the water change itself, doing the water change actually has another benefit to the shrimp that a lot of people don't think about. For me, when we do our water change and we're draining the tank, I don't really get to it right away, especially like the last tank that I fill up. It's dry for maybe 8 hours in some parts of the tank, right before I fully get it filled up. And when that happens, a lot of those diatom algae, the biofilm, a lot of that will die off. And what happens is as the water's filling back up, you'll actually see all the shrimp come out and they actually start grazing at where the water line is. And they're doing that because they're eating all of that dead growth. And what happens immediately after all that dead growth gets eaten by the shrimp, the snails, and what other little microorganisms are in the tank is it goes through an explosion of growth again, and that biofilm comes back, and it's like a recycle of food, natural food available for the shrimp every time you do your water change.
Rocks Aquatics, do you guys ever do any vacuuming of the...
You got an emergency right now? Here, just let me get up with her.
Okay.
And then you take over.
So, do you guys ever do any vacuuming of the substrate in any shrimp tank for some reason? So, normally we avoid it, obviously, especially because it is hard to vacuum up a shrimp tank without potentially vacuuming up babies. It's very hard to see them. Now, we have, when we've had really moldy tanks that had way too much at the bottom, most of the time what we'll do is try to catch all the shrimp out of it, especially it depends on how much mold and how bad it's getting. We'll try to catch all the shrimp out of it, and then we'll do that and usually put a net on the other side of the siphon so that we can catch any of the shrimp that do come out. Unfortunately, some babies are just way too small even for that issue. So really have to be prepared. But most of the time, if there's such a bad issue like that, baby survival rate isn't good in that tank. Because if there's baby survival rate, we don't touch anything. We leave it alone no matter how gross it looks in our eyes or how bad. We will not vacuum up the substrate. I have tried to vacuum up the substrate if I have too much food that I've put into the tank, but most of the time what I'll try to do is get a little net and pick up as much as I can before it starts to crumble apart, because most shrimp food does crumble apart. But it's very rare that we ever actually vacuum the substrate, especially most of our substrate inside is the stratum or Brightwell, so that stuff naturally breaks down anyways, and it kind of becomes a soil after a while. So there's just really no point to vacuuming it. Yeah, it's pretty rare. It's just there's more risk than reward in vacuuming. So Crypt Keeper said isopods slowly just disappeared over time. Very minimal breeding, which is so strange because they have taken off in almost every water parameter we had. Um, Now we had one tank is now completely empty because we put a musk turtle in there. That was my bad. The other ones, it's taken a little bit longer, but the more food I put in, the better the isopods are doing. So maybe you're just a really good shrimp keeper and not overfeeding your shrimp like we do. Well, let's say we, I mean me. Um, they always look so hungry. And I always think that the shrimp need more food than they do. I've had some of my shrimp do really well with more food than less food. And then other ones that need less food, and I gave them too much. So, welcome in, Benny. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Freshwater Joe. Thank you for joining us. And Grant left me at like the worst time. I have no idea where he's on the list. You know me, I don't listen. I guess he probably talked about those hormones and pheromones. Obviously, when you ask about the carbon. Yeah, I don't know where he's where he's at. So if you got any questions, maybe I can answer them before he gets back. He's just taking care of the baby. Welcome in, SC Catapulus. Excited to see you this weekend. I'm so excited for the Aquatic Expo. I just always enjoy that. A lot of people get there and it's fun. Rox Aquatic said, do you use any plants other than ferns in your Caridina tanks? Most of our Caridina tanks only have moss. We have we have all of these are stem plants right here. We typically don't do that. We will just trim those up, but we haven't ever touched them. Aww. Little ladybug. Little ladybug. All better now. We don't typically use stem plants, and a big reason for that is pulling up through that substrate. Substrate has pockets in it and can carry some bacteria. That's why we usually like putting Malaysian trumpet snails into the tanks because it breaks up that anaerobic bacterial in the soil. So it doesn't happen as much, but usually bacteria blooms will happen if you pull up plants out of the substrate. So we do recommend either a moss or any like epiphytes. I hope I said that right. But anything that can go on like a branch, so like a Nubus, Boos, because like that's all floating Boos right there. That little island is all Boos. It is weird. Most of our Boos is just floating in a tank. Thank you. We have crypt, like a spiralis crypt in this tank. And this is because we know we're not going to be moving these. And they're cool to have in the tank. But I know that we won't really ever remove this. And if we do, if anything does happen to a plant that it's dying, we're just going to chop it at its base. I'm not going to pull the roots out. I'm going to just chop it, see if it'll regrow. If not, it won't grow, and then we just have roots.
Another thing that you can do also is take the scissors, and especially the ones that are curved, and cut around the base of the plant. So that way, when you uproot it, it's just a small amount of roots and not an entire tube or runner or something like that you're going to pull up another plant with it as well.
Benny Tay coming in with a good question. Many thought-provoking question. If we don't do water changes versus water changes, do we believe in impact genetics in future? You got to think of when a fish, when you don't do water changes, sometimes it starts its growth from ammonia, and that can be passed down. So do you think that it could do it for anything else, particularly shrimp? Would that be a cause for short skirts? Is people not doing the proper water changes and causing an issue in genetics?
So here's how I think it can impact the genetics without me being a geneticist and actually knowing the facts. All right. For me, tangerine tigers, the genetics for those, they tend to be more hardy. So if you're saying having a mixed tank in our project tank, It could be where if you're not doing your water changes, the uglier ones may be the ones that are surviving, and your baby's survival rate you might not be able to tell because they're dying at such small babies that when they grow up, you're only getting like the ugly changeling tiger based babies, and you're not getting the real pretty ones that could have been there if you were doing your water changes and maintaining proper levels. So I'm not like that big into genetics to be able to answer that question, but that's how it could definitely impact it for sure. Benny with the expert hard questions.
Crip said, "Do you know if the fish survived that we caught? Chances are I am still heading to North Carolina Friday. Think I found shift coverage."
Yeah, we have most of them. They didn't all survive when you collect them. There's a couple of them that didn't make it, but yeah, if you're going, let us know. We'll bring them.
Mike said, "In the shrimp tanks with moss, do you ever see fungus, or does the moss prevent that?"
So, if by fungus you're talking about like a slime mold, yeah, they happen. Very rare. I'm actually excited when I see them. I think they look really cool. They don't really last very long. Most of the time, it's only like 3 days and then they're gone. The other fungus, I don't know what you would be talking about.
Yeah, and sometimes if a moss is just done for or gets a fungus, it's going.
But
It's out the door.
If you're talking about like the little like white fuzz that grows on the wood, that's biofilm. But the little fuzzy stuff that's on the moss that Shelby's talking about, that's Cladophora or Kleb, and most of the time it's not worth trying to get it out. You just remove as much as possible.
Vinny said, "Do we believe that using active soil, the need to do water change is necessary?"
Yeah, absolutely. The soil is just there to really maintain the pH. It doesn't really replace all the other needed um, clean water and minerals and stuff like that that should be replenished.
Especially for cycling, because ammonia still does leach from some of those, and they do need a water change to get that ammonia out. That ammonia just doesn't disappear really. So I would say that, especially active soil, you would have to do a lot. And I think the main purpose, especially with active soil and doing the water changes, doing them more frequently, you won't be causing that soil to break down at a faster rate. Because I think if you would have to do like an emergency water change, fill it back up, that could swing the parameters and break that down really fast.
I think the more water you change, the faster the substrate's going to break down.
And Jonathan said, "I have one male and one saddle female that I got from my local fish store. Is there any chance that they can build a colony, or will some shrimp never mate?"
If you have two shrimp and they're male and female, it is possible. However, stuff happens and you're not always successful. So that one male could be ready way before the female is ready in her cycle, and he could stress her out. So just give them plenty of space and hiding spots and play some Barry White.
Hoping for the best. I've done that. It doesn't work. Mike said, "Floating boost is not weird. It does so well floating." You're right. Some people would find it weird if they don't know that, though. It does really do well floating, though. I don't know why we have way more success with it floating sometimes than we do have it in the tanks, like rooted down. RBK says, "Just got some Blue Dream shrimplets. How long until they're ready to breed?" They're about 0.5 to 0.6 of an inch.
I would say they're getting there. The males are probably able to breed at that size. The females at like 0.8 inches are definitely ready to go. You should start seeing saddles though soon. Want to see the tanks? It must be crazy though, growing up and looking at all these like little individual cases of little tiny worlds. Like Jaden didn't really grow up into it. There was chameleon cages, but he doesn't remember them.
Into it, yeah.
and Layla kind of
There was still
finessed
quite a
her
bit. There
way
was like
into it.
100 of them.
But like
when
Myra's room has it, the whole house
it's
has
just
it.
normal to her.
We wake her up to go somewhere, and she's just walking through the house, and she's just like, "Oh my god!"
I wonder if, like, when she finally starts to realize, and we go to like a first person's house, she's gonna be like, "Where are your fish tanks?" I think it'll be so funny because like it wasn't too bad. I mean, our kids definitely ask people where their fish tanks are because they just think it's like a normal occurrence. Freshwater Joe said, "What are the issues with uprooting plants in a humate substrate in a shrimp aquarium?"
Well, it's with any substrate, not just the humid substrate. You've got to worry about all that uneaten food, all the debris, the pockets of I can't remember the name of the gas now. Anaerobic gases. And when you do that and it goes up into the water column, almost every time you'll create a bacterial infection where you get one shrimp sick after another. And it's very hard to get ahead of. We do have the Plampsky cure now. That makes things a lot more easier. But it is costly if you're going to be doing that all the time. You're probably going to want to avoid it again. Why? What's wrong? That's a lot more now. You gotta stop. No, you gotta take her this time. It's not on me. No. Oh my god.
Too much milk.
We're good.
Mother.
I'm clean.
All right.
At least you
the
want
next one for you.
Fresh diaper though when I took care of her.
Okay.
So on your website for the Blue Diamond Neocare, Dina, what is the plant picture? Did you bring it up for me? Sorry if I. So on the Blue Diamonds, we have a Boos. I'm not sure the exact variety of that. That picture is like 10 years old, so can't look it up either. I'm sorry. It's some type of Boos. All right. Oh, yep. Crip was right. That is a Boos. Are frequent water changes the only factor in soil decomposition rate? I don't believe so. I would say the more contaminants in your water could also play an effect on breaking down the substrate. But the worst one is KH. If you have carbonate hardness in your water, this will break down your substrate faster than anything else. Pretty much baking soda or minerals with KH water or using tap water will break down substrate from perfect little balls to dust. And that's definitely something you want to avoid. Would it be possible in descriptions on the website to put what type of shrimp it is? Tiger, crystal, etc. Crypt Keeper Aquatics tried explaining to me, but he is so smart, and I am far from that. Yeah, I guess that's something that we are planning on doing. Shelby's actually in the process of redoing the entire website through a different company. So I don't think that's something that's going to be done anytime soon. But when the new website is launched, there will be all proper descriptions, way better photos. Just recently, Shelby's like, "It's annoying me. I got to get it done," and I was like, well, let's do it through Shopify because a lot of the stuff that we want to do requires Shopify, and you're going to do all this hard work just for us to change over to Shopify anyways. And she agreed, and she's already kicking it on the Shopify. So give us some time, or give Shelby some time. I'm not doing anything that looks like it's homework. I got to get my butt into gear and build her studio, get water changes done. We've got a couple of upgrades we need to do on the house, and then it is go time in the backyard and new landscape fabric and set up all the other IBC totes on the RO water, wastewater, and then go ahead and get all the plants done. It's been really cold here in Florida, and generally speaking, January, February, we've had our second or third freeze, and I think it might be our third one. I wasn't really paying attention, and a lot of the plants have taken a hit. So most of them will regrow, but some of the plants I think me and Shelby were gonna plan on taking to the show this weekend. They don't look really good at all. So they need some bouncing back come springtime, but they'll be fine.
So I was just talking to her. She just said that she wanted a different outfit on and to, show Stephen P. and Jennifer how cute she is in it. You make me melt a little ice cream. So cute. Yes, you're so cute. I can't handle it. I've been waiting for these ones to fit. She's growing a lot faster than expected. She's only 3.5 months.
4 months
almost
in a day.
4 months. 4
In a
months.
day?
And she's fitting in.
No, she was 4 months, 2 days ago.
Into 6 to 9 months outfits already. Chunky little baby.
No. You gotta keep her still. I didn't get.
Okay.
I was just about to start this. So I got my Sea Chase shirt on. The one thing that I do have to recommend with doing your water changes is one of these pumps.
We're not paid by CJ, just so you know.
No, but when we were doing our aqua changes, our Aquashella shrimp contest setups, our water changes on our aquascapes, especially in competition time, all of the pumps, and there was probably 4 or 5 different brands of pumps that have gone around during the years of Aquashella that we've been able to try out. And the best one by far is the Ultra Zero pump from Seche. This is a brand new one. We got ready because of all the tanks in Shelby's room. We got to get to doing more water changes than we already are. Right now, I'm currently doing like 38 water changes a day. I got to get up to 50, and this pump is going to get me there. So one thing I like to add or just mention about it is this cord is, I think, 10 foot. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure it says it on here. On here somewhere. All right, here. But it is perfect for me to drop into my standing water tower, to be able to get around the kitchen and everything like that. Without even adding an extension cord or something like that. So the long cord is definitely a must. And then all the water gets drained from the bottom, so it just kind of sits on here, and it really does get just about all of the water. The downside about the trash cans is it does have that like moat around the bottom where it goes onto the little wheel housing. But then the other thing I like about it is this actually attaches to a garden hose. You can get an RV water hose that's good for drinking water, and it won't leach any hard minerals or anything like that into your water. So this pump for sure is something I'd recommend. And then the other thing we have is we go to West Marine and we get a marine grade silicone hose. Is it silicone?
What?
Nylon?
No, the drain for what?
The hose drain?
The drainage
From-
that we do water changes.
From West Marine?
No.
Nylon? What's it?
No, it's just a regular.
Regular what? What's it made out of, Shelby?
It's a marine grade hose, so
Yeah.
it's good for.
So as long as the
being
hose
protected.
is marine grade, you're good. All right. But
It's just a tougher hose. So
It
it's
is.
thicker. It lasts longer.
it doesn't really kink up. It doesn't really degrade as fast and stuff like that. So I highly recommend those. You can get them at different sizes and stuff like that, so you can drain them quicker in a larger tubing or slower in a smaller tubing if you need to. But that's pretty much all I had to say on water changes. But yeah,
You said more specific. I don't remember what that one was.
It's just a Bucephalodendra. I can't.
Yeah.
You want more
Looks
specific,
very
but
blue. No,
I
no.
can't.
Those are really hard to still classify because most of the species are not named, and then they're named different in almost everything. Like the same Godzilla to the palm tree one. They're pretty close. There's only like a few that are actually classified. And back when we took this picture was very, 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 very long
I told
ago.
him it's like a 10-year-old
Okay.
photo.
Yeah. They were not even, when they came in, they all had different names that are not what they have today.
And I don't have
Great
any of those
Oliver.
anymore because I believe those are the blues and purple ones that we put in the 190-gallon tank. And when I went to Colorado, I asked Eddie to turn on all the tanks on Saturday while we were gone. And the one tank that he forgot, I didn't mean to say his name. I've always been saying the story like I had somebody, but I guess I threw him under the bus now. The one tank he forgot was by the front door. Like the first tank when you walk in the front door, he didn't turn that one on and off. And I had a whole carpet of mini pilia, and it all melted and fouled up the water, and it crashed.
Scotty said, I like that idea. Shelby and Grant should do it. Posting. There's so many things. And then Jenna says, Scotty, quit trying to volunteer Grant and Shelby to do more work. Don't they have enough going on? We have literally tried to organize our lives enough to do something like different. There's so many things like posters, artwork, books, even came up recently a photo book. I mean, I'm falling behind on the shorts. I got one out today. I did it. I'm trying to at least get one out a week, and that's throughout different platforms because I work for Pisces, which also has like 4 platforms. Then I got us that has one, then myself. So that's 6 there. So getting one a week gets a little bit difficult when I'm trying to multitask, but all of these things will come to fruition eventually once we get a little bit more.
Like once we can
settled.
hire Jenna, like look at the quality control she's already doing for us. If we could just pay for that all the time, like on the daily, forwarding all of our emails to that, then I think our lives will be a little stress free, and we can start doing some antics like that.
Yes, hydrogen sulfide gas. I think that's what you were saying. Yeah, Benny said it. Make up a name for the booze. That's what most people did. So that's why there's an issue because the importers just had something nice, and they weren't classifying. They were importing them faster than they were actually making a scientific name for the booze. So when we got them, they all had names, but then they changed them, and then now they're different. So there's only like a few that are actually like distinguished, like a palm tree one.
The Ketigan, the I can't read
tissue
it.
culture.
It's around.
Ones.
So that's what I was saying. For Shelby's fish room, they're all getting tissue cultures. So we'll be ordering a lot of boosts, but the narrow leaf one that we have and stuff like that, those are the ones that we for sure know the names of. I do have like a brownie ghost that I got from Chance, and I trust Chance is a man of his plants, and that does have a good amount of blue and purple color. It's getting kind of choked out by the moss.
We'll never sell boosts, though. We love them too much.
But in tissue culture form. But
Maybe,
if the if the floating portions though keep growing and expanding, I'm sure I'll sell it one day.
Oh my gosh. I was wondering when she's ever going to make those noises. Mike said, what do you guys have it? And is it really that blue, or is it an old picture making it look that way?
No, it's bluer than the shrimp. If we were trying to make anything blue, it would have been the shrimp in the photo and not the boost in the background.
Yeah, there's definitely blue boosts out there. And then like there is pinks and purples, but most of them is because they lack the light for them, and they start to turn pink. And they're really cool looking, don't get me wrong, but I already tested that out and figured that out in one of my boost competition tanks, my aquascaping with all the boosts. Oh, it's so pretty. But
and that reminds me, the person that hosted that Boostscape contest, who is like the known person for boosts in the United States, when we posted that boost for sale last, they bought it instantly. And I was like, I probably way undercharged for that boost, huh?
Shrimp Sanctuary said, "Are you all still relocating?"
Not anytime real soon. I would like to move in like a year and 6 months. Would be like on schedule for when we had planned to move. However, if we are stuck here for 2 more years, that wouldn't be the end of it. If we can get out of here beginning of next year, we'll also take that opportunity too. But there's a couple of improvements we're going to be making on the house here soon, and it's going to be a big game changer for us. And we'll be able to save a lot more money. We'll be able to put away money and hopefully get into a larger facility. Either way.
Yes.
Just whether or not it's in a year and 6 months, or 2 years. Hopefully, it's coming up.
Every time we want to move and we've had the plans and the funds, something else comes up. So, as much as we want to say we want to be out of here in a year, it might not be able to. But you never know. At the end of the year, maybe we get an incredible deal, and all of a sudden, everyone wants all the shrimp. Jonathan said, "She must be growing from the water change." I love it. You should make a shirt that says "water changes." Yeah, they obviously work. I have a baby. Oh, it's funny.
Got 3 kids.
Does the baby have a favorite tank? I don't know. She absolutely loves my room though.
She's a fan of the fan.
Oh yeah, fan
so
is her favorite.
any tank that's reflecting the fan.
Yeah.
Shelby was taking a nap the other day, and all the lights were off except for her little bouncer thing, and all of the lights were reflecting off of the tanks. So it was like her own little like light show, and I think she really enjoyed that, but not any individual tank as of yet.
So I actually have Fluval's lights in the bedroom, and they're just on auto. And at nighttime, it turns to that moonlight blue. And then Aquarium Co-op's filters have the bubbles like perfectly so nice, like a triangle on the top. And they're so like symmetrical and pretty. And I think she really enjoys that. There's nothing in those tanks yet. They just look pretty. They look like my own bubble wall. Rox Aquatic said, "Are you aware of the Stardust Caridina shrimp having crossed with any other type of Caridina?"
No. As far as we know, there has not been any 100% confirmation that they have bred. Every single time somebody has said they've bred, there isn't just one of each. And then all of the babies come out looking just similar to what some of the Caridina, the Stardust babies already look like. So I know Crypt Keeper is working on it. But he's been working on it for like a year and a half, and I feel like if they were breedable with other shrimp, that it would have been done. But the person to ask is Mr. Benny Tay himself at Shrimp Sanctuary. So are they possible for the Stardust shrimp to breed with any other Caridina shrimp?
Thank you so much, Benny Tay, Shrimp Sanctuary, for the $10. So thank you for your time and expertise. Your efforts to inspire and guide the next generation of hobbyists to understand the why behind our practices are invaluable. Keep up the great work and stay safe. Thank you. You write so eloquently. It's so beautiful. Honestly, like if we ever write a shrimp book and we got to have some quotes, we got to put some of yours in there. They just sound so great. Thank you so much. Your words mean a lot to us.
And we've got a show this weekend. But when I get back from that show, I'm going to work on solidifying getting you to speak for us in August.
Freshwater Joe said, "Any tips on getting blue bowl shrimp to breed well?"
So water changes, and they do like the GH a little bit higher on the 160 TDS and 6 GH. I see Freshwater Joe just asked what the preferred TDS for Caridina shrimp, and Joey came in clutch with the 150. That's pretty much ballpark 150 is what I aim for everything. I do find though at the blue bolts and the shadow pandas, if I do mix up the water a little bit heavier, I'll try to fill up their tanks first and then add a little bit of RO water to soften it up for the rest of the tanks. I do think that the blue bolts will show just a little bit more of the deeper, darker blue with a higher GH.
And then Joey said, moral of the story, do water changes. Yeah. It's you don't have to. It's just preferred for sure.
And then with the blue bolts, though, low pH and stable, constant stable pH is what you want, and they should do good.
Matt said, member for 29 months. Thank you so much. Matt said, Jenna works for me.
I heard you don't pay her that much, though. So as soon as the funds come in, Matt.
And then Steven said, Jenna has enough on her plate raising me. That is so perfect. Oh, man. I want you guys to wear these shirts at the show. Have you ever seen there's like a older couple that wears them, and it's the wife says, or this husband says, if I'm lost, please find. And yours would say Jenna, and then your Jenna's would say, I'm Jenna. Where is he? It's so funny. Freshwater Joseph, Boost Landra, Kid Gang. It's so funny.
So those are the ones with the ruffled leaves. That's what we have floating up here behind Shelby. Oh, you can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pointed it out earlier. It's getting a lot of airtime today. It's honestly becoming famous. Stephen P. said, oh my God, Brownie Ghost 2011. That's the most coveted boost name on Facebook's.
Yeah, that one for sure. And then
that long ago, we were just meeting in there. That's crazy to think about. Well, we were meeting. We had met I think 2009, but started dating in 2010. Now am I
2010.
2010. Okay. I'm getting too old already.
That one's an easy one for me to remember, and then do the math to figure out how long we've been together.
Right now. Yeah, because it's
forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, that's true.
Just got to subtract the year by 10.
Crip says, I'm working on it. I will get the Stardust to breed out. I know. If anyone's going to do it, I believe in Crypt Keeper. He's been trying for a long time.
I gave up, so I ain't doing it.
Oh, I'm definitely trying. I'm definitely going to be doing some weird stuff in my picture. I don't care.
I just ran out of tanks, and I was like, I need more tanks than just Stardust tanks.
Yeah.
Or Yellow King Kongs.
Shucks, I got caught up cooking and forgot you were live. It happens. I do it all the time. I'm usually commenting in people's
I need you not to talk about food, though. I am starving. I don't know why. We had
every live stream
today.
now. It's just Mondays. He just wants ice cream because he's thinking about it.
That's what it was. No, had a milkshake.
So Chat GPT writes one heck of a shrimp book. I think it would be better than some of the ones I've seen out anyways. So yeah, it could be a thing for sure. Mike said, overrated or underrated? Neo Skittle tanks. I think they're underrated. I really do. I enjoy Skittle tanks a lot, but that's because I also enjoy wild shrimp. So I enjoy the browns. I enjoy when they sometimes get black with a bronze stripe. So I think they're underrated a little bit, but you always need to be able to oversell splitting up the shrimp because it's easier for people to have one shrimp tank and mix all the shrimp, and yours go by, and now we don't have those yellows as much anymore. We don't have those blue velvets, and we don't have those Rillies anymore because people were doing too many unique Skittle tanks. So there's a good and a bad for those.
I'm gonna cheat. This is not a fair answer, but if you're lazy, then they're overrated. But if you like work, then they're highly underrated because the wild type that come out of them, I've seen a lot of people get into the hobby and get started with a bunch of colorful shrimp, throw them all in one tank, and then they all turned out ugly and wild, and they got out of the hobby and fed them all to their fish. So it's just depending on how much work you want them to do.
Did you get the 99?
No.
Crip Steve says, I'm stubborn. I will get them to do it. I can now see it. Trying to genetically splice them together, put eggs into another.
The
strip. You're
Stardust
like,
in
"I'm
question
doing it."
is the wild type ones that you were like first bringing into the United States.
Can you let me read the question next time? Jenna P, it is a little late for Grant to get ice cream just because 1, he doesn't want to go out. It's 2, it's too cold for him to go out. 3, he doesn't eat this late at night because we fast and we try not to eat at night. So 3 problems lie. And if he really wants to get it, there's just not really good ice cream out. He's really he's an ice cream snob. So all the ice cream places are
But
closed.
tomorrow, Tippecanoe opens, and I'll be checking the new flavors that come out for sure.
Yeah. Shrimp Sanctuary is the Stardust in question the wild type of Stardust, or the Stardust like those black with spots and fishbone with eyes? Oh yeah, we were talking about the wild type ones. Yeah. My puffers only eat Bloody Marys. They are picky, but I mean, who knows? Those are like the best. They look so pretty. Just kidding. They're stops and refuse to chase down any shrimp. So I noticed that our pea puffers barely ate shrimp. Like I never saw them eat shrimp. They ate mainly snails.
Hold on. We had a tank, 20-gallon, 5 pea puffers, and we threw all of our red lily culls in there. And there was always pregnant ones, and there was never any babies. They couldn't eat the big ones. They were devouring those babies. I swear, they were just following the females and waiting for her to release and then just snacking on them.
She's just going in that thing. Sorry. Just bouncing. Mike coming in with the hard question here. Ice cream cake or regular cake with ice cream?
Ice cream cake if it's regular cake. If it's not regular cake and it's bougie cake, like something real nice from Publix with the buttercream and
something
the strawberries.
Real nice like Publix. Like I know Publix is a step above all the other bakeries, but
if it's
not
just
like
a Walmart
a good
regular
bakery.
cake, let's go get a Baskin Robbins ice cream cake.
I'm split on this. I've had some good ice cream cake, but most of the time I would like regular cake with ice cream, and I don't really like too much cake because most cakes are made with too much icing, I believe, that just make you sick to your stomach, especially when you get older. Like they should make old people cakes that are like thin icing and mainly cake.
But like my birthday was last month. We didn't do cake. We just did ice cream like 3 times that day, but we did ice cream.
Scotty said, Grant's ice cream consumption for the clash is dependent on the hospitality chair's actions. Can he pull it off, or will it take as long as the Stardust Resort? That one's good. I actually do believe that we have had multiple times where we run into an issue where multiple people want to get ice cream with us at events. So we end up going to get ice cream like 3 times in one day, usually. Shrimp Sanctuary said, I believe that the Stardust is the black or red type with spots and fishbone. They can crossbreed with tigers, but outside of the Caridina family, maybe not.
No, not those ones. They're just the wild ones.
Those can crossbreed.
But
yeah, it's lagging.
Yeah.
So we see the comments way faster than.
And I have not seen any confirmed crosses with it. So
no, we've had assumptions. We thought that it might have happened, but no guarantee.
And same with the raccoons.
Yeah, Stardust are going to be a hard one, just because of the way they look. They might breed with some of the other shrimps, but they might be too similar to them. Like an Aurora tiger and a Stardust in a tank together. Like, how are you really going to tell if they crossbred? You know, that's a good one to try, but it's not really. Why would we even do it? You know, there's no purpose to it. So
at one point, if you've seen Beer Fest, where I can't remember the guy's name, but he's Farva from Super Troopers, but he falls into the vat of beer and he's got to drink his way out. At one time, if I fell in a vat of root beer float, I would have been able to consume the entire thing like Farva did. But now I don't drink soda anymore, so it's a nay. But back in the day, we used to get the cheap ice cream, the plastic container ones or whatever. And when it got down to like a third of it left, I would just pour a liter of root beer in there and just eat it like a bowl of cereal.
um, Mike, I would say that they are definitely great. I even told Grant the other day, weird as it is, I think that a sweet tea float would be so great. But like everyone was just looking at me with like such disgust, and I was like, you know what? Maybe not so great. Maybe I probably go into like a diabetic shock or something with that much sugar, because how much sugar is in sweet tea, and then put it on ice cream, which is made of sugar. Benny Tay says, if it's the wild type, my experience is limited. Apologies on that. Question for you. Is it common for you guys to have wild types? Is it popular to have wild types there? Is there just more of the Taiwan bees?
I think the wild types aren't that popular.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay, Razorback said, sweet tea goes good with everything. I was kind of like some really nice old-fashioned vanilla ice cream with a little... I wouldn't like overdo on the sweet tea, but like a little bit just to give it like a sweet tea flavor. I feel like that would be a good like bluebell ice cream for like the South. Sweet tea, vanilla bean. If they make that, someone clip this and sue them because I came up with that idea. Okay, who knows? We talk about so much ice cream. Like the people from like Bluebell could be like watching and be like, maybe they'll come up with a flavor.
The lady from Tippecanoe could be watching and be like, oh, I'm gonna try that.
Oh, that's so funny. They make a root beer float and a Dr. Pepper float flavor of Bluebell now. I think I saw that the other day too. It's the root beer float one.
So I saw Post Malone's coming out with his own Oreo, and it's got shortbread filling in it, and I'm excited to try it.
I don't even know what that tastes like. Freshwater Joe said, "What shrimp remineralizer is your go-to?"
Salty shrimp, GH plus. It has been tried and true for the last 10 years. It has been our best salt that we've had. And because of that, that's the shrimp salt that we sell on our website. And I've heard things about other salts, tried them out, and they never really worked as good as the salty shrimp did. So that's another one of the things that I give credit for us doing this full time is just sticking to the salty shrimp.
Bugsy says someone makes green tea ice cream that is.
I think I've tried it, and it's just my issue is with green tea is none of it tastes like the green tea I had back home. So.
Oh, that's so funny. I will try the sweet tea with ice cream. What you call it? Sweet tea vanilla bean. That's what I would call it because I'm not that original.
Southern cream.
It's just getting worse. Now it's just getting weird. Chris said, thanks for the stream. Guys, work comes early in the AM. Have a good one, everyone. Have a good night, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
We got to wake up early tomorrow, too, and we'll probably be up all night with the baby still. I kept saying, like, she was easier, and I'm gonna retract that statement. She's no longer easier than the other kids when it comes to sleeping. She does not want to sleep. She wants to play, and it's so hard to get mad at her because she's so darn cute when between those hours. So it's like you're keeping us up. We're not tired because she's like talking to us and making us laugh.
She's yelling at you right now.
I do think she's going to be a smart cookie because she's doing things and picking up on things. And I think she might already be saying mama, and it's crushing me.
Yeah. Especially since Layla said it. And then Jaden was he said money, but I still think he was trying to say mommy.
But if you pulled out money in front of him, he'd say the same thing. So that's why we're like, it's money. It's not mommy.
Have a good night, Rocks Aquatics. Thanks for joining us. Johnny said, what aqua soil is your go-to for Caradinas?
Go-to for Caradina is going to be the Brightwell. It is our gold standard. There isn't anything else on the market today that I think holds up to the Brightwell. The very old ADA substrate used to be the gold standard, and then since the company has changed hands and they no longer are able to get the same source of substrate. It's just not the same thing. So Brightwell.
This baby has been a night owl since day one, though.
And it's hard to get orders out by 5 o'clock when you're sleeping until noon, because she's kept you up until 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to wake the other kids up at 7 for school. So you get 3 hours. I saw when it was 3.5 hours of sleep that I got this morning before I woke up Jaden. Yeah. And then you try to get 3 hours more sleep before 10 o'clock, and you're just not getting any.
I know we've always wanted to do a video on aqua soil. I think what we should do to get it out faster is going to be like the top 3 substrates we'd recommend and why.
It's just going to be on Brightwell. It's just going to be on Brightwell.
No, you have to be able to
It's
tell
going to be the
why.
importance of aqua soil, and the only one I'm going to be talking about is Brightwell, because there's nothing else worth it.
What's Bluebell? Are you joking? I'm not a big fan of flutes. How dare you?
It melts my ice cream. I want my ice cream firm.
I don't like them as much as I like everything else. It's like the last thing. But growing up, floats were the thing I would want, for sure. Scotty says, I need to find a better measuring tool for salty shrimp and make a conversion chart. We should make a conversion chart. That would be cool. That's a lot.
We don't even use that. We just walk up to a trash can and dump it in, and then I pull from that to mix my other water, and I figure out where it is on the cup measurements.
Stephen P says, being a night owl is a sign of genius. That's great. That's good to hear. She's
helping us with changing her diaper, and
she holds her feet,
and
it's weird.
We didn't train her to do it. She just started doing it.
She's like, let me help you.
And then her comedic genius is gone to the point where everyone we've talked about it, she goes and proves it within like the next 2 minutes of us talking about it. So it's like, I don't know. We're not complaining.
Aquatic said, have you ever purchased a bag of Brightwell that failed to bring your pH down to a proper level?
Never. That's the thing, is we've never had a bad bag of Brightwell. Tim, Crypt Keeper, he has a bag that's kind of dry. I'm willing to bet if he flooded it and used the proper water, it would still hold up and lower the pH longer than most soils on the market today. But we just got, what, six bags, and all of them were as fresh as you'd want them to be.
So you guys might not have a Bluebell? That's crazy. I didn't even think that
was
like
land of the Hershey's.
Oh, yeah. What if you got like the whole no, that'd be crazy. I need to go to a store now.
Hershey's walks up in there. You ain't selling no ice cream in here.
No Bluebell here. Maybe they have a contract. They might have where it's like a clause. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No.
Here, I'll take her so she can throw up again, you know?
I think you need to go change her.
Well, we're done with the live. We can sign out.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't realize it was 2 hours. I mean,
it's 2 hours.
Crank through this.
Somebody made me hungry, so.
Let's see. How do you feel about aqua vitro, aqua soil? Not.
It's up in these two tanks over here, and the raccoon tank did great. The other one did not do so good.
I would say.
And how do you mess up raccoons? So I need to test it again. I have another bag of it in the garage. I do like the Seachem brand and the reps. Like there was a rep I maybe met before one other time at the Space Coast show, handing out free samples and stuff. They're always one of the bigger supporters of the industry, but I didn't like the soil so much. It just barely buffered to where I wanted it to go.
Yeah, so I would recommend more of a Tiger that could go on that, because it would lower the pH just enough that the Tigers will still do really good. They can take a little bit more than some of the Taiwan bees.
She's tired now.
You want to go? I can finish this up?
No. Let's sign out. Oh.
Okay.
I mean, is there anything else?
There's quite a bit of questions. What is the most natural looking soil? I like fluvial stratum, but it's terrible to plant in and looks weird. That really depends on
those
your...
would be sands and gravels and your type of aquascape. You have to kind of pick out what substrate you're going to use depending on what biotope you're doing. And if you're not doing a biotope, then what's natural looking to you?
What brand of TDS meter do you have? Find it to be the most reliable. We just buy the cheapest one off of Amazon. It's just much more worth our time.
I need to place another order in with Aqua FX and whatever brand of TDS meters they sell and calibration fluid. I'm going to get a couple of them and do a proper video on TDS meters. I know I've been saying that I need to do a proper video of this and that and this and that. But yeah, her being a night owl is pretty much taking the toll on us the most. You're looking at me like, who, me?
Who, me?
No. But yes, it's you.
Said, every bag I got from Amazon has been dried out, so that might actually just be a problem from Amazon because I also deal
Amazon
with that.
Warehouse, though.
Yeah, so I also deal with that with Pisces. A lot of the bags break, and it happens to be you sell most, like these companies sell to Amazon, and then they have them in their warehouse, and then those people really don't care what's going on, so they might drop it, they might break the side of the bag, might poke it or something like that.
You might be the only one in that side of New York that's buying Brightwell substrate.
Yeah,
so
might be sitting there for a long time, but yeah, hopefully we'll get a good one of these. Everyone have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you all. Until next week.
See you guys. Thank you.